Hello, Facebook friends and YouTube friends. My name is Adam, and welcome back to my workshop. I have been absent for a while, basically because life got super crazy. So, if you are uh, returning to my channel, thanks for coming back. Going to try and maybe make some more regular videos, depending upon how much viewership and stuff I get. So, today I'm going to talk about something different. Not going to talk about religion today. I'm going to talk about Star Trek, as you probably figured out by my shirt and my stuff and all this. So, why am I here to talk about Star Trek? Well, personally, it is my favorite anything that has to do with pop culture or TV shows or movies or whatever. I am definitely, dyed in the wool Trekkie, live long and prosper all day long. I've been around since '87, just like Next Gen, so I've been watching this ever since I was a little kid, and I watched every show, every movie, from the original series all the way up to uh, Strange New Worlds and all the movies, specials. I watch the shorts online, the fan made films, the just everything. I watch it. Um, so first, I want to talk about. Well, there's two things I want to talk about. Why do I like it compared to something like Star Wars, and then also a thing that I've noticed online about like why I shouldn't like it. But I'll get into that in a minute. So the first thing there is obviously a debate: is Star Trek or Star Wars the better sci-fi? Well, I love Star Trek, big nerd on that. Star Wars I still like and I watch it. I'm not one of those like, oh, Star Wars is garbage and it's stupid and the Force is made of. No, I still like it. It's fun. My idea, though, is Star Wars is science fiction fantasy. Star Trek is more of science fiction real, I want to say. I mean, obviously not actually real, but it's kind of touted as if we got our act together, if we were able to invent the tech, if we found these aliens that were helpful, then we could totally do this. Whereas Star Wars is, I mean, it's kind of magic with the Force, and we don't really know how some of the stuff works. It just kind of does. Their stuff is not to say, oh, here's how to build your own functional warp or hyperdrive. Sorry, I'm getting my fandoms mixed up. How to do the tech. It's more, here's a story about, and then they tell you a story. Star Trek is kind of both. Then in Star Trek, I think the job is more than to entertain, it's to reinforce an ideal. It's like a morality play, that there's a point to watching the story. It's not just, oh, that was a fun 45 minutes I sat on my couch watching TV. It was, I learned something, or I had something to take away, or it, was something positive. Star Wars, I think, is more or less just kind of fun. So, I like them, like I say, but I don't know that there's as much to get out of it. Star Trek, you look at classic episodes where you had, the half black, half white guy, and to them, they're like, oh yeah, the one side is awesome, or, the one, I forget which it was, but one of the half black, half white was like superior, and then the other one was totally stupid. Or you have episodes that highlight, female characters and showing how great they are, while still not making them the Mary Sue character, where they can just do no wrong because they're women. Um, anyway, there's more to it in Star Trek, I think, and there's more to be gained. Then the other big thing, Star Wars, it starts out in a galaxy far, far away. This happened. So while they are humans, it's not really, us. It's not supposed to be people from Earth are doing such and such. It's these aliens who happen to look and, be human. And, that's fine. But Star Trek is saying, this is us in the future. We did all this great, cool stuff. We solved, hunger and homelessness, and we're not racist, we're not sexist, we're, everybody's treated well, nobody wants for anything, there's no beggars on the street, there's not really a lot of disease, there's, no problems for the most part. And I think that that's a cool and good thing to focus on, because I think really if we could get our stuff together and stop having wars and stop being idiots online, then we could get to maybe not exactly how Star Trek is, obviously, but more in that realm. And to me as a viewer, I like the idea to say, yeah, things are bad now with war, famine, disease, etc. Read anything in the news, it's bad. And to say, we went through that too in our Star Trek reality, but we got out of it, we fixed it, and now we're going to space and we're all together. That's just a better experience for me. The second thing, which gets a little more heavy, I watch a lot of videos where they talk about Star Trek, and they will say that if you are a Star Trek fan, a really big one, that you're probably not going to be religious. And then if you are religious and into any religion really, but especially Christianity, then you're not going to enjoy Star Trek. And I'm going to say I get that and I don't get that. So I'm gonna back up here. Back when the original series came out, and even Next Gen and some of the other ones, not so much once you get up to Voyager, but the early on ones were all about, equality, treating people fairly, not being sexist or racist, and all that. It lines up, I think, with what Christianity teaches, that we are all the same. And really, in the day, there wasn't so much caring like, oh no, that there's a person of color doing a job. It's no, that guy or gal is the best at their job, so that's why they're doing it. Nobody was like, oh yeah, you put Geordi as engineer just to make sure you had a person of color in your show. No, Geordi is a really smart engineer, and he's engineer of the flagship because he is smarter than everybody else. He's the best man for the job. And I think that was a really positive thing to do back in the 60s with characters like Uhura, where there was more racism and sexism, and they said, no, look, that's not a thing in the future, and you can be a woman, and you can be a person of color, and you can do whatever it is that you want to do. It doesn't matter your gender or your skin color. And that was, really impactful with Uhura. And I've seen interviews with Nichelle Nichols where she says she wanted to quit, but Martin Luther King Jr. actually told her, no, you shouldn't do that because you're such a representation of us. And to say, we have a spot in the future, that's really impactful. And he's right. That's a good thing to do. I even think, when Enterprise came out, they kind of dropped the ball. Yes, we had, Travis Mayweather is African American. We had Linda Park, character of Hoshi, who was Asian. And we have Malcolm Reed, who is British. And then, Southern Trip and North America, or I forget where we're supposed to be from, but Captain Archer. And then you have your Vulcan alien of T'Pol, and you've got another alien in Phlox. So they're diverse. But to me, it's a bunch of Americans. Like, yeah, that's what you're going to show in an American TV show, sure. But the background of, Chekhov was not a Russian guy who came to America and become Americanized. He was a Russian, as far as I knew. Same, Sulu was supposed to be Japanese. Uhura was supposed to be from Africa. And it seemed more diverse to me. So I think when we get up to the modern era, we should have more people from the Middle East and from Hispanic countries and, different ages, more men and women mixed. Like, we had Uhura, and that was the only woman. So, I don't know, I'm kind of getting off track, but basically, I think, the diversity was a good thing, and I think it makes sense to say, look, you are good at your job because of who you are, not because of any of the other factors in your background. You're just good at your job, so that's why you do this job. The issue that I feel we have run into with things like Discovery is, now I haven't watched all of it, I've only watched some, but I know about the characters in the show. The feeling I've gotten is it's more, we're going to put in more women or characters of color or of LGBTQ people, people that identify different sexual backgrounds or orientations, not backgrounds. We're going to say they need to be in the show simply because they need to be in the show. And it's not, I don't feel as well established that people are the best at what they do. It was, the show needs to kind of force on you these different ways of life. And this is where we have the disconnect. For me, and for a lot of Christians, we shouldn't at least say, oh, you are Asian, and that's different, and that's bad, and then you are bisexual, and that's different, and that's bad. Those are two different things. Where somebody is from and their ethnic background, what they look like, has nothing to do with what they are as a person. That might color some of their interests or something, but it really doesn't make you good or bad. You just are that way. If you're going to then take sexual orientation and put it through religion, yes, we are going to say, according to our beliefs and scriptures, that if you are not heterosexual, you are off or you are sinful. That's a whole big debate to be had, obviously, but that's where there's a disconnect. So if you're going to say, well, Star Trek has always been woke, yes, we have always touted as Trekkies differences in your background doesn't matter. If you're good at what you do, then you're in Starfleet, you're on the Enterprise, and even some of that is to be celebrated. That, look, there's this crew of blacks, whites, Hispanics, Latinos, Middle Eastern, Russia, Japan, Australian, China, just everywhere, and that's a cool thing to do, which also you would expect. If you went, oh, there's a show about space and it's all only white guys, but the whole Earth came together to send these people out, like that would be weird. Conversely, though, Discovery, I've felt, said, you know what, actually there's no white guys in the future. Or there's very, very few. And that's also a little weird. I haven't seen every character, so I don't know, is it really an even mix or does it just appear that way? But want people to understand, from our point of view, at least from people like me, Star Trek and Christianity actually work together. It's when you put in morality and decide which is which, that's the problem. I am great with, and I would encourage a Star Trek show or any sci-fi show to put in people of diverse backgrounds and have, old people, young people, have men, have women, have different races, have different, backgrounds of whatever it is. But when you get into things like Discovery has, where you have, a same-sex couple in Stamets and Culber, or you have the ones that, don't identify as traditional male or female, or they're trans or whatever, that to a Christian and to a lot of people is not just a difference, that's that they're doing something wrong. That's like saying, oh, we also need to make sure that there's a guy in our show who is drunk all the time, or who is, abusive, or who is a thief or something. And I know that comes across as judgmental or rude or whatever, but that is, in a nutshell, what we're saying about it. It's that sexual sin is a sin just like any other sin, and it's not something to be celebrated. We wouldn't want a show being made where the main character just lied all the time, or who, beat his wife, or something like that. So we also don't want touted and pushed that being bisexual is a good or positive thing. So when you make shows like Discovery that say, this is good, it's a problem. Now, from my opinion, and what I would do, if I were to make a show like Star Trek, especially Discovery, I would say, let's include people who are different sexual orientations than just heterosexual, because people are that way. That is a fact of reality right now. There are people who say they are whatever. So I would get saying, oh, this character's a lesbian, this character's queer, whatever, but don't make it such a huge thing. Like, I don't always agree with, even on the other side, heterosexuality being this super important part of the show. Like Riker or Kirk, very straight guys, and they were trying to, make out with and get with really every woman they ever find. Now, I like romance in a show, that's fine, but I would put that somebody has a love interest that they meet and then they marry, or they're at least in that relationship for the show. I like characters like Captain Sisko, who meet Cassidy, and then they have this whole, love story arc. It wasn't Sisko's sleeping with a different one every week, because that's also not a good thing to do. I don't know if that clears anything up or not. I'm hoping it does. Maybe this will have some comments, which if you do comment, Please do not insult myself, other Christians, each other. Christians on here, don't come and say, oh, the other side is horrible. Don't do that. That's not what my channel is about. I want us to have open, honest discussions and say, hey, I feel how I feel, and because of, and explain. I also don't want to say, if you are bisexual, lesbian, whatever, I don't hate you. The Christians that I know don't hate you. We're not out there trying to, plot ways to get you or something. I don't know what's going on. That's not the case. We just want it understood, our point of view from the Bible is that is not the right way to be. That's not how God made us. And I don't really want to hammer that too hard, though, because I get saying, oh, how you are is a bad thing. I really want to, I think what works great is actually, I think a comedian, or at least a pastor who was doing stand-up, something, he explained that it wasn't about, hating on them or anything. He explained, somebody said, well, do I need to stop being however I'm being? His was drugs. Do I need to stop doing drugs in order to come to Christ? And the guy says, no, you don't need to do that. And the way he put it, if I told you, I've got this nice, shower for you to go have a shower, and I've got, the soap and the shampoo, and I've got the scrub, I got everything, it'll get you nice and clean. Wouldn't it be weird if I then told you, why don't you go clean up first before you come and clean up in my shower? Like, yeah, you wouldn't do that. It's like, oh, I'm too muddy for a shower, so I better shower for it. Like, no, you don't need to stop doing the sin or stop doing whatever it is, that's against God. Forget about all that. Let's not talk about, oh, you're however, and that's horrible. Come to Christ first. And even if it's just, just read the Bible or talk to a Christian friend. See, I was going to not talk about Christianity. It always comes back to that for me, which is something, if I make a lot of these videos and if you get to know other Christians too, like myself, we're going to bring this up because it's very important. I love Star Trek. I love a lot of things, but it is going to come to Christ. But I want to explain too, this is the crux of the issue. When you make these new Trek shows and people are saying all these horrible things, there's a reason that they're triggered, but I honestly think a lot of people are handling it poorly. I don't go on the message boards and go, oh, Discovery is a pile of garbage. I don't happen to enjoy it because of how they do things, but I'm not going to get on there and just insult. That's not a helpful way to do things. So if you've gotten to this part of the video, thank you for watching and all of my rambling and my talking about everything. If you want to bring up a comment, please do so. If you want to share this with your friends, that'd be great. I'm not really sure what else to say right now on the topic. And I'm very tired of all the talking I've been doing, because this is like my 8th take, trying to get something good. So I will say goodbye, live long and prosper, and I'll see you next time.